So thank you everyone for your time today, and my great pleasure. I'm from Natera. We are a bioinformatic company that we do the DNA testing, and those data will be used for analyze people's early cancer detection, and also we use the AI methodology improve people's personal health decisions. So in today's conversation, right, we go through the agenda. One, we will start from a little bit about myself, and we walk through Natera's cybersecurity side of the strategy and the posture. Then we talk about some challenges that we have. We walk through the architecture overview and the strategy about our data protection, and we present on the outcome of our effort. So a little bit about me. I joined Natera in February 2022, and Natera is a very fast growing company that right now we have about 5,000 employees all over the world. Before joining Natera, I worked at Palo Alto Networks as the VP of Product Security. I also served as the Senior Director of Head of Cloud Security and the Chief Architect at Visa. I also worked at the Copon, focused on the product security before joining Natera. So, because of the nature of our business, we take security very seriously. We host a lot of healthcare data, as you know, and this domain of area is a heavily regulated industry. We are under regulation of GDPR, we are under regulation of HIPAA, and also the recent SEC or different standards and healthcare regulations does apply to our business. That is one of the drivers for our cybersecurity, but in addition to that, we do take care of our customers and we take our patient information very seriously. So data today, it's a big challenge across the industry. We all know that all the data we collect from patients and also will be stored on our premise. It would also go to the cloud. The amount of data that copied and created across the enterprise increases the attack surface dramatically and introduce a very big challenge how to protecting them. So as a growing company, as you can imagine, right, enterprise always have a limited amount of resources to protect the data. It's a very complex problem with limited amount of resources. So that drives us to think of the question how we should prioritize and how we should spend our limited amount of resources smartly. And that's where our journey with BigID started. So give a little background of our architecture here. Basically, on the left-hand side, you can see that we have a global workforce. We have users in the United States, we have users in the Pacific Asia, we also have users in Europe, all over the world. And our platform focuses on the AWS. That is the backbone of our data. We have different integrated AWS services that handles processing our data. Besides AWS, we also have data in the SaaS platforms, such as the Salesforce, such as the Snowflake, such as the such as the G Suite. So how do we manage this data holistically based on the architecture? The most important thing is how do we get visibility? So it is very important across the platform. We have a holistic view of how our data lifecycle is managed. That includes where the data collected, data being stored, data being processed, protected, and being backed up. How do we handle that data lifecycle securely? So data classification is a very important step in this whole process. Based on the data classification, we can classify what data by nature is more important in terms of regulation sense, or more important to our business. And some of the data, what are the contents needs to be protected with special treatment? What are the ones that would be, can be handled a little bit easier than others? So in order to manage the cost, in order to manage the effectiveness of the data management, one critical strategy we took is reduce the amount of sensitive data in our overall environment. Specifically in the non-production environment, for example, one more copy of sensitive data, it introduces in the whole life cycle, how do you manage that end to end? So as a very critical practice we do today, we scan the environment and we ask people, for example, if the data lands in the non-production by any chance, we review, inform the data owner to remove those data copies. That has greatly simplified our data management complexity and also reduced our cost in terms of managing the data copies. So with the BigID data platform, we have used a lot of capability came along together with the platform, such as the data discovery. We use the capability of the platform to discover data instances in AWS. And also, right now, we are integrating the service now with BigID, basically establish the data inventory, so that from there, we can set a focus on what we should protect. In the future, we can see that AI is a very big factor changing the game here. AI introduced multiple challenges in different dimensions. One dimension is right now, the AI use cases, all of them sit tightly on data. So data is your source, your productivity to boost your AI side of the use cases. But that introduces on is how the data is going to be used, shared, will be very different from what we do traditionally. So one use case, developers, they used to not to need to have the access to production data. But right now, it seems some of the developers, they will need to access to build models, and they will need to have access to some of the production data. So how do we establish effective control on this data usage? That needs to be specifically visualized and prioritized so that we know how this data is being processed and access controlled. Another dimension of the AI side of challenges, a lot of AI use cases coming in, AI has blurred the boundary of fraud and the traditional phishing and the traditional security side of the attack scenarios. So one example is, right now you probably look at the ChatGPT facilitated attack agents. They can simulate like a person talking to someone, fraud, and trick someone to give out credential. On this type of information, it is important for us to discover where the credentials are located in the environment, so that it can remove them timely, reduce the overall attack surface. So as the outcome of our effort, we achieved a few very important goals. One is we reduced the number of data copies in the environment. That shrink our size of the protection, the boundary, and also reduced a lot on the complexity of resolving the problem. Also, we used the tool help us to automate some of the compliance regulation processes, like, for example, discover what are the data in the environment. If something is impacted, quickly locate where the data is based on the index. We also reduced the size of the problem as we discussed. That brings us, the outcome is the cost efficiency. How do we spend limited amount of security resources on such a big problem? That is really very strategically important to us. Also knowing the data inventory across the environment, that help us build up the foundation. If the organization, if the industry is moving to the AI world, how do we establish the governance? And this one is a very interesting, also very challenging problem to think about. Basically, I would say my view, how the security will be operated in 5 years will be very, very different from what we do today. Those scenarios are already showing up from different angles. I can talk about more specific here. One is from a regulation side. You see the different regulation on the data side today is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Every regulation body, they look at is, what do you have? What is the liability? Basically, data defines the enterprise liability. So how do we meet this comprehensive AI side and the regulation side requirements? The complexity is growing very fast. On other dimensions, the AI also brought in the opportunity for us to handle, for example, security questionnaires on the supply chain. In the past, right, when people come into enterprise asking, hey, can you fill in the security questionnaire? In the past, it has been very effort-consuming, very tedious process. Right now, the AI brought in is the very efficient tool that, for example, I have a startup company. They can input the SOC 2 report as the input of the organization information of their cybersecurity posture, and use that information to populate and fill in the security questionnaires automatically. That brings in the opportunity to simplify our security side of the operation dramatically down the road. Another big impact on the AI side we can tell is automated detection of data access violations. So for example, if someone coming in here, the access pattern to the data is different. How do we use the AI to quickly spot on those abnormalities? Right now, technologies has been advancing very fast. So if you put different angles together, you will see that how the security operation on the detection and also on how the security assessment questionnaires are done, on the data governance in terms of identifying the abnormalities, all of these dimensions will dramatically change in the next 5 years. And we do need revolutionary tool to catch the dynamics in this domain. And these are one of the use cases that we look forward working with technology vendors like BigID, and we want to build up what's next for the next 5 years for the company, for the best protection for our customers and industry. So to summarize this talk, I think we talked a lot of different topics on cybersecurity. In healthcare, we talked about the regulation, we talked about the complexity of data all around. But set one focus is you cannot manage something that you have no visibility on. Basically, in the police, right? Police come in, they want to secure a street. The first thing is to set up the light so that at nighttime they have visibility to the whole street, so that they know where's the dark corner, where the patrol should be focused on. And that is the meaning of having a BigID in our solution. Basically, is to enlighten up the whole environment, knowing what we have, and set up the strategic focus on where we should work on. So as the outcome, I would say we're in the great collaboration relationship with BigID to evolve the landscape while our problem statement changes and also the technology offers more capabilities.